Croeso Sianel Blaid Llwyd. Before we begin the story, Howley and I like to tell you that arches can be an emotionally intense experience and may not be for everyone. That was a great new logo, I love that. Welcome back to Echo. In this case it's Echo of 2020. A little different from our last trip there in the smoke room. This is Arches, the new Echo story from the Echo project, written by Howley. And I've played the patron version. It's great. And I have that content warning. Howley and I are quite serious about that. He's put it on the itch page. I put it on my videos. Yeah, it's probably not going to be for everyone. It'll like Echo itself is really not for everyone. And if you're not sure about the horror aspects or things like that, yeah, just be aware of it. And if you want to drop out now, I don't blame you. That's fine. Just take care of your own mental health first, and if you're not in a good place for something like this story, just leave it for now. It'll be here when you're ready. Well, having said that, and giving you a chance to admire this little animation, let's start with Arches. Run. Running was something he was always good at. He was always the fastest in his class. Just last year he came in second in the 200-metre dash at the state track meet. Just 8 months ago, a coach on the University of Pueblo approached him about joining the track and field team after graduation. Just last month he realised he was the fastest freshman on the team. Just last week he started to hang out with older men who could get him to Pueblo's gay bars. Just 3 days ago, one of these men spiked his drink. Just 2 days ago, he woke up in restraints. Just yesterday, he was being tortured. Just 10 minutes ago, he escaped. But now, he's realising it doesn't matter. Everywhere he looks is only burning desert. There's no one. His attempts to scream for help matter even less because his voice is broken. He can barely wheeze after what the man did to him. And now his empty, droning sounds are being swallowed up by the desert. All the while, the heavy steps scraping through gravel behind him keep coming. The man isn't in a hurry at all. Running was something he was always good at. But now, when it mattered most, he couldn't do it. The fastest freshman at a D1 university was no faster than an old druggie. He definitely would have been if he'd eaten anything over the past 3 days. If his ribs weren't broken. If he could see straight. The man had given him something. He had told him it was for the pain, but the pain was still there, and now he couldn't even stand. His balance was shot, and he kept stumbling till he was just crawling on all fours. It's now that he realises the man had let him get away on purpose. This makes him realise something else. He was going to die. Tired from the drug, from the past 3 days of constant fear and torture, and from trying to run, he collapses. He lays there in the dirt, sobbing, even though tears don't come out. He'd run out of those after all the things the man had done to him. The light above is blinding. He wonders if this is God. His mom was a devout Catholic, and even though he never believed, he promises that light it'll become a believer right then and there if it saved him. The crunching gravel footsteps get closer. I need to go. His voice is still ragged and hoarse. The footsteps come even closer. I have a meet. There's a childish, high-pitched laugh.
Think I must have hit you one too many times. All you do is talk about your fucking track bullshit now.
The huge form moves closer.
You know that shit don't matter no more, right?
His chest aches with overwhelming sadness and despair. It's not just because he's about to die. It's because his mom won't know what happened to him. And it's because the last text message he saw from her said, "Love ya, bug," with 10 hearts and kissing emojis. He hadn't responded and just rolled his eyes. He thought he'd be able to respond the next day, or the day after that. And then after he'd been kidnapped, the man took his phone and sat it on the counter. It sat there and buzzed over and over with messages, and his kidnapper only laughed when he asked to at least read them. Now the tears flow just as the man leans over him with something heavy in his paw. He hopes his mom is right about God. He hopes he can see her from the other side, just so he can respond somehow. But there was nothing. Cameron holds onto the seat tightly, the coyote's teeth rattling together with every pothole they hit. His boyfriend, Devon, doesn't seem bothered at all, the bear's paw on the wheel with an elbow hanging out the window. He'd been singing loudly to the music playing through the car's Bluetooth speakers. It wasn't until cell phone service was lost that Devon finally seemed to notice Cameron's unease. "You alright, babe?"
"I think you could go a little slower."
"What?" Cameron raises his voice, yelling over the rattling interior.
"Go slower!"
"Well, it's this kind of rain this baby was built for."
"Okay, but..."
Cameron's voice bounces as they hit another deep groove in the destroyed road.
"We don't know what's around any of these bends. What if it just drops off and we go down a ravine or something?"
"Well, that's what the roll bars are for, honey."
"I'm pretty sure I'm about to chip a tooth."
"Ah, come on. You gotta admit there's something nice about feeling the road." Cameron doesn't respond and goes on clutching at his seat. Devon does slow down a bit though, more carefully manoeuvring around the most broken up parts of the road.
What happened to the road anyway? It's only been, 5 years?
Oh, flash floods according to what I read online. Obviously no one's around for upkeep, so this is what happens.
Oh yeah, forgot how this state works. Dry as hell until a wall of watery death comes down the road during monsoon season.
Coyote tenses up as the bear makes another smooth but still sudden turn.
And it's even hotter than I remember.
"How are you a coyote, Cameron? This is your climate."
You know better than to say that. Just because I'm built for it doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah. But you're heading in Fort Allen too.
It doesn't get ungodly hot there though. I can at least deal with it.
Well, the transfer to Bonneville City is looking good, so you won't have to deal with it much longer. Cameron shrugs.
Milder weather would be nice, I guess.
Devon grins. Well, nicer weather, nicer scenery, and nicer people.
Everyone's a Mormon.
Which is why they're nice.
Well, the ones living down here aren't.
Well, there's a big difference between the fundamentalist and the...
Normal ones? The ones that baptize dead people and wear Jesus jammies under their clothes?
Dev shrugs. Most religions are weird when you break them down like that.
I'm just saying, whether it's magic garments or prairie dresses, they came from the same fucked up place.
Devon doesn't say anything, and Cameron realizes how bitchy he sounds right now.
Sorry, I just worry about how they might look at us. It's harder to gauge people when they're all fake nice.
Yeah, that's true, but look. Dev nods his head towards Cameron's window and the coyote follows his gaze. The rocky, uneven landscape has opened up to a wide expanse of blue. Well, that's Lake Emma, which means Echo is... The bear looks ahead, and the first thing that Cameron sees is a tall, rusty sign with letters on the top that he can't quite read from this distance. Below is a small, shabby building, and beyond it are a few smaller, even shabbier buildings. Cameron wasn't sure he'd feel like when he first saw the town. If the coyote really is what Devon thinks he is, then right now he'd feel all the awful, evil things that supposedly happened here. Those small run-down buildings should be exuding the memories of their past, which would then be projected into his mind. But Cameron feels nothing. Of course, he kind of knew this would be the case. He'd never been to a place that was famously haunted. Not like Echo, anyway. So he worried just a little bit. Dev asked him in the past to go on his amateur paranormal investigations. Or because the coyote could see things. He'd remind Dev the proper word was hallucinate. The things he saw were manifested by his own mind. There was no reason for him to give it fuel by going someplace supposedly haunted. Dev got the message pretty quickly and stopped asking. They still talked about all those interests he had, though, and Cameron realised there was a lot more to Devon's interest in ghosts than just dumb fun. And even though he'd refused to entertain Devon's psychic bullshit, the bear still took care of him. He'd done so much for the coyote that Cameron was embarrassed to think about it sometimes. So when Dev got this chance to go to the place he'd wanted to go the most, Cameron decided he had to go as well. He's doing this for Dev, to show his appreciation for everything that Dev had done for him. Still, Devon had been trying to make this seem more like a vacation of sorts, like Cameron wouldn't be doing any investigations at all. He'd need to talk to the bear and let him know that he was willing to do this for real, at least within reason. He also needed to tell him why he didn't like doing this. That part might be hard. Doesn't look so bad, for a ghost town, I mean.
Well, looks can be deceiving. Hang on, gotta pull over for a sec.
Why?
Want to scout out the lake a bit before dark, and I also gotta take a massive leak.
Cameron tries not to sigh, just wanting to get into the town so he can be sure he doesn't feel anything. To really make sure there's nothing to be worried about. He isn't worried about ghosts, but rather his own brain and what it might do. The road becomes smoother and newer looking as they pull up to the lake.
Trying to turn this reservoir into a recreational spot right when it all happened.
They both get out, Cameron stretching his legs gratefully. That's too bad. It kind of looks nice.
Yeah, this place has had a long string of bad luck.
Bad luck is one way to put.
Oh, that thought. I'm gonna pee.
Dev waddles away, clearly having held it and he almost couldn't anymore. Cameron shakes his head, remembering all the rest stops they passed on the interstate. With a sigh, Cameron leans up against the jeep, staring out across the lake. This really isn't bad at all, so far. Sure, they weren't in the town yet, but all those dreams he had, all those terrible feelings, they seem silly now. It's just a small former town with a sad history. If his brain was going to manifest something out of this, that something would just be sad. Cameron knows his hallucinations aren't real. He's known that since he was a kid, after he first saw a monster in a raincoat in his trailer home. He also knows that ghosts aren't real either. But Devon believes. Or at least wants to believe. He wants it so badly and he thinks Cameron can see them. Cameron knows there's something extremely perverse and wrong about his disorder being used like this. Devon is also aware of this. Painfully aware. To the point that Cameron was able to tell days in advance that he's going to ask about taking him on this trip. Yeah, this is wrong. But the bear doesn't even think Cameron is mentally ill, or at least that's how it comes off to the coyote. Devon doesn't understand how it feels to struggle with reality, with the feeling that at any moment you could lose it. That isn't his fault. Most people have a solid perception of reality, like a normal person should. They take it for granted. That, and Cameron never really told him what it was like, so how could he understand? He told him a little bit, but he'd always been worried in the back of his mind that Dev would leave if he'd told him everything. So Dev took those snippets of insight into Cameron's psyche, and somehow interpreted it as him being gifted. It had been over 5 years at this point, and Dev had seen Cameron at his worst, at his absolute craziest. And somehow he'd stuck around and still believed the coyote was just a normal guy with some personal issues. Cameron hugs himself a little tighter, realising that now is the time to really talk about it. And then after this they can have a fresh start in Bonneville.
Phew, I'm at least 3 pounds lighter after that.
You know, I don't mind taking a piss in the wilderness. I don't need anything more than that.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping there'd be a porta potty or two around here, but it looks like we'll have to dig some holes.
Dev!
Whoa, just kidding, babe. We can drive to the rest stop. What's wrong?
The coyote pauses, trying to get into the mindset this sure to be uncomfortable conversation is going to require. Just give me a sec. Cameron sees the bear's demeanour change instantly.
Okay, Well, while I'm giving you that sec, I'm sorry for teasing you and being all gross. I know this isn't really where you want to be right now. I was just trying to lighten the mood. And you know it's because I love you.
Jesus Christ, stop.
Devon goes quiet and swallows, the sound comically audible.
There's a pause, and though Cameron tries to keep a straight face, the tension just seems to break on its own. I'd much rather hear you make poop jokes than act like that.
What? Considerate?
Sort of. You are considerate, just not in that weird, anxious way.
Well, sue me for trying to be careful. I just don't want to say something stupid and...
Cameron cuts the bear off, not wanting to put this off any longer. Just listen and let me talk for a minute. I know you haven't said it, but let's just get it out in the open that I know you wanted me to be your more than just company. I'm not that stupid. And I just want to say that I don't think this is a good idea, because what I have is a mental disorder, not an ability.
I know. I shouldn't think of it that way. I researched it, and I just don't think it lines up with you having a mental...
Dev cuts himself off as Cameron sighs deeply. Please don't.
I'm so...
But what's important if this helps you, whether I think it's real or not. You've done a lot for me, and I want to be able to do something for you.
No, what I think doesn't matter. What's most important is...
So, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be your psychic for the weekend.
Wait, really?
Dev, I'm not spending the whole time role-playing like we're having a good innocent time in that murder town.
But I don't want to make you do something you don't.
Oh, I want to. I might not like it, but I want to do it. If only for you.
Cam.
Nope, I've made my decision, I'm doing it. But just this once.
Well, if you're sure, but please don't put me ahead of you.
And I did some research on that forum you linked me to a few years back, so my sixth sense is primed and ready.
That seems to finally snap Devon out of his reluctance. Wait, seriously? There were so many people like you on that forum, did you?
Listen, I want you to find your answers. I really do. But I think the worst thing I could do is lie to make you feel better. I'm going to be completely honest about everything. Whether or not I see something.
Of course, that's what I want.
That's why you shouldn't be getting your hopes up right now. I'm just telling you that I'm going to try. The bear stares at Cameron for a few seconds, just smiling. What?
Well, I'm just glad I met you and that we're together. And that you're here with me.
Devon wraps an arm around Cameron, pulling him into his side as they both lean back against the jeep.
But seriously, if you ever feel like, I don't know, you're just not into it, just let me know.
Well, as long as you're not expecting anything, I think he'll be alright.
Yeah.
Dev goes on grinning and Cameron narrows his eyes. Because I'm getting the feeling you're expecting a lot. Dev pauses, seeming to think.
Well, I'm also happy you're being more open like this. I always felt like you didn't want to talk about it.
Cameron also thinks. I guess I just didn't want to be told that what I see must mean something, you know?
Yeah, that would get old pretty fast. But since we're talking about it now... Does it not? Like, some of the things you mentioned don't make sense. Like that raincoat creature. Or about your old friend who, you know...
Got shot in the head? After I hallucinated that someone shot him in the head?
Yeah, that one.
This is what I'm talking about. You, and all of us really, like to see meaning in everything. That we have a purpose in life, a reason. Reason, purpose, and the meaning of life means nothing to the universe. Everything just is. Whether it has meaning is up to us. Yes, it's weird that I hallucinated the way he would die, but he's also involved in things that could have led to that. I knew he'd been dealing drugs in a really risky way, so I knew his life was in danger, and I was on fucking ketamine. All the reason is there.
Well,
Dev shifts around, clearly uncomfortable and trying hard not to look that way.
Oh, I get that, but there's a lot of other examples I could bring up. Maybe it's coincidence, but at some point, don't you have to wonder if maybe it's something else?
Cameron sighs. Of course I have, but what always worries me about this paranormal stuff you're into, and the afterlife and all that, it reminds me of my mom. Dev doesn't say anything, just waiting and listening. You know, toward the end, right before I left, she was usually amped up on something to stay awake for her 3 jobs. Whether it was amphetamines or meth, she barely slept. We had this box fan in our trailer, and one day after she turned it on, she asked me if I could hear someone talking from the fan. I said no. She sat next to it and listened, and then she had this huge epiphany that it was God. And she did that for weeks. That's almost all she did when she was home, listening to the fan talk to her. I'm not sure what always it was saying to her. I don't think I really understood what was going on. I just knew that sometimes stim addicts did that kind of stuff, especially when they don't sleep, you know? But then she started to look for specific shapes, arches and half circles. This voice told her she could get into heaven if she passed under the right one. The voice also told her that Satan would trick her with fake ones and make the real one harder to find. She pointed these out to me, how there were so many, and yeah, they were there. When you look for these patterns, for something as simple as the shape of an arch. Cameron traces a finger along the arch of the wheel while he's leaning against. You're going to find them. Eventually she told me that everything was warped. I guess she was so fucked up that these shapes just popped out at her, like her brain was highlighting them and she couldn't ignore them. On the last day, she told me that even I looked like an arch, and that she thought the devil had taken me. She looked completely done. She told me she'd be back to save me, and then just walked out to the trailer. A few hours later, she drowned trying to swim under a bridge, and everyone in the trailer park kind of saw it as just another delusional druggie getting themselves accidentally killed. Dev knew Cameron's mom drowned in the river while on drugs, but not the terrible details, and the bear just wrapped his arm tighter around Cameron. But I think it was a suicide. That she was just so tired of her shitty life that she bet on that bridge being the arch that would lead her to heaven, one way or another. So that's why I worry about following these patterns, even if it's just something like looking for UFOs or ghosts. Yeah, I think the meth and lack of sleep pushed her over the edge. Is there something genetic there too? What if I'm predisposed to it? I haven't used since the 2nd month after I met you, but I still see shit. I'm just not delusional, at least not yet, but I worry. Dev clears his throat.
I would never let that happen to you. Oh, I know I say stupid shit about it, but I know it can be dangerous, and I'm always looking out for you.
Honestly, it's nice to hear that. It's just letting my mom sit next to a fan for 3 hours straight every day, feeding on her delusions. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. But I was high on my own drug of choice because I just didn't care. But the thing is that even through that hell she was in, she cared. I took too much a few times, even though she was listening to a fan, in her own world, sticking post-it notes to all the shapes she saw. She still noticed right away when my breathing wasn't right. I woke up to a spray Narcan at my nose. Cameron sees Devon tilt his head in question. It counteracts opioid overdose. But the thing is, my mom didn't like opioids because they made her nauseous. So that means she got those nasal sprays just for me, just in case, even when she thought I was too absorbed in her own world to care. So it hurts to think about that night. Or just let her walk out of our trailer like that. Cameron takes another deep breath. He hadn't planned to even talk about his mom, but it just came out. Sorry, I'm rambling.
You do not be sorry.
It's part of why I am the way I am. I know my symptoms don't perfectly match up with what you research on the internet. But they're close enough. And honestly, maybe you're right. Maybe there's more after we die and somehow I can help you find it. If things go south and if something's wrong with me, pull me back. Thinking about the shape of an arch still makes me feel sick. Like a reminder of what happened to her and what could happen to me. Wordlessly, Devon pulls Cameron into a hug, and the coyote presses his head against his chest. That moment, Cameron realises then why so many people love their therapists. He'd always worried that Devon would get too weirded out by what happened when he was a teenager. That Devon would finally see all of his closet skeletons, neglectful, neglected, abusive, abused, and so hopelessly addicted. Just like his mother. The definition of trailer trash. Cameron's all of those things at some point in his life. We knew that didn't matter to Devon. After a while, Devon lets go and they start getting back into the Jeep, the bear feeling slightly shaky. Cameron's confession was truly harrowing. Devon had known bits and pieces of the coyote's history, but to hear it like that, how he'd overdosed and almost... Dev shudders. He's just glad that the coyote is safe with him now, out of that hellhole. As he's about to get in on his side of the Jeep, he stares out towards the town just a mile or so away. While Cameron told him this had all made him feel better, Devon was feeling more conflicted than ever. Everything that Cameron just told him practically screamed that this was a bad idea, that this wasn't good for him. Does it matter what he thinks about Cam's hallucinations? That his skimming of abnormal psychology literature about hallucinations led him to believe Cameron wasn't mentally ill? No. How could he take him to Echo after hearing that? How could he ever drag him into this endless hunt for the truth ever again? Yet, at the same time, Cameron's telling me he wants to do this. Dev looks over the hood at Cameron, tapping his blunt claws against the soft top of the Jeep. Hey, Cam. Why do you say we just keep going north and check out Deseret? You know, see what Bonneville might be like. See what the Mormons are really like. That could be fun. While he says this, there's a crushing feeling in his chest, dreading that Cameron might say yes, but at the same time hoping that he will. I mean, with the way things are going, I don't even know we'll be able to cross state lines in a few weeks. They're starting to shut everything down. But Cameron stares back at him before smirking. Oh no, this is something you wanted to do for years. I mean, fuck me for dropping all that on you right before we get there. But you know I'm a procrastinator. I don't want you to feel guilty, but just be aware. And I kind of want to face my fears in a way, you know? I'm ready for this. And before Devon can say anything else, Cameron gets in. Dev looks over at the lake, actually not sure what he's about to do. If he was a good boyfriend, he'd drive away from this place. Cameron would yell, curse and moan about how it took them 10 hours to get there. And Devon would shut him up with those sugary abominations from Starbucks. And he would never talk about Echo again. He would listen to Cameron and trust him about how it actually felt to see awful stuff. They'd move, get married, get a big house, and sooner or later Dev would get his answer. Because everyone does at the end. As they pull out of the parking lot, he thinks he's made his decision. But even as he tells himself he's going to turn left, back up the road they came, he turns right. Because just before he did, he sees a flash of pink in his mind's eye, floating in the middle of a pond. It's like someone hit him full force in the chest. Before he knows it, Echo is ahead of them. Dev frowns as they pull into the parking lot of the motel, staring at the graffiti-covered walls. The cartoonish caricatures have a way of cheapening this experience, as it's only a stupid haunted house attraction. So, it's his home base, huh? Devon rubs the back of his head, feeling self-conscious after talking this place up for so long. Well, it didn't look this bad in the pictures.
People never have respect for stuff like this.
I don't think it looks bad. I love street art like this. It just makes me feel less alone, like a lot of people have been here and we're just fine.
Actually, keep an eye out in case one of them is lurking around.
All the graffiti artists I knew were really nice.
Well, it's not nice to do it in a place where a bunch of people got killed.
Well, I think a lot of people would disapprove of what we're doing, and I know you're nice. So just lighten up a little.
Ow, jeez.
Cameron walks past the bear, slapping him hard on the ass as he does. Devon raises a brow, not sure what to make of Cameron's high spirits. They just had one of the heaviest conversations of their relationship and... well, maybe that is why. If Cameron was feeling more comfortable being honest and open with Dev, then that could only be a good thing in the bear's mind. After returning a much harder ass slap that makes Cameron yelp, the bear joins him in exploring the area. Considering the motel is supposed to be the most haunted building in Echo, Dev had thought it would be a good idea to set up base there. Specifically in room 12, but most of the numbers are missing and most of the heavy metallic doors are locked. Even though they're all dented from what looks like to be the result of literal battering rams.
Well, they sure seem to care a lot about warding the place up.
They probably got tired of dumbasses crawling in and getting hurt.
Yeah, but luckily I'm not a dumbass.
Hey, what about me?
Well, I don't think a music degree will help us in this situation, but you're still pretty smart.
Oh shit, that's right. You majored in mechanical engineering and you work at the most valuable industrial automation company in the country.
Yeah.
Devon is a little taken aback by just how cold Cameron's response is. Well, go on. Your classes in dynamics and calculus-based physics should figure this out for us. Cameron's voice drips with sarcasm, and Dev can only assume he's making fun of the way the bear tried to impress him with his coursework during their first dates. But Devon tries to salvage the early good-natured mood.
Well, I could probably break these boards as long as I move my fist at a high velocity. You see, the amount of kinetic energy...
Dev's half-hearted teasing trails off. He never much liked the outright disdain his fellow STEM students had for the arts and soft sciences. It's just that it would get Cameron riled up, and that was funny. In college. Now Devon just feels like a dick. Besides, Cameron's ability to understand and play music is basically magic to the bear. Devon's grasp of music is surface level and he's slightly tone deaf to boot. Cameron would never point this out, he'd just sing along and attempt to harmonise. While Devon had been offered his six-figure salary career before he even graduated, he'd watched Cameron's dreams of working in the music industry slowly evaporate over the past 3 years. Now Cameron is working at a call centre he hates. The bear had thought himself to be so smart in college. Yeah, he did alright. But now he's become more aware of what a dumbass he is when it comes to communicating with actual people, with his literal boyfriend. He needs to apologise for this one. The bear clears his throat.
Oh, yo, Cam.
Dev shuffles up to the coyote. Before he can say anything, Cameron just points to the door. See, number 8. The door over there is number 3, so counting in this direction. Cameron's frosty demeanour is completely gone. 10, 11, and room number 12. And when you know it, it's open.
Ah, sweet.
Thanks, I went to college.
Ha ha. Now I'll go in first to make sure everything's clear.
A what?
I don't know, squatters?
Well, I'll get ready to find a dead squatter, because how the hell would they survive?
Well, actually, just reminded me there are a couple of creeps that live here, like stubborn locals that won't leave. At least that's what a post said from like 2 years back.
What? I don't like the sound of that. Are they dangerous?
From what I gather, they're more of the get-off-my-lawn variety of creeps.
Those types can still be dangerous.
Well, if no one's been killed yet, then I think we're good. Well, like I said, I'll look out for you.
Dev lets out a mock growl.
I'll make a permanent residence of Echo. By that I mean dead ones.
Devon. Now Devon can tell the coyote's really upset.
What's wrong, babe?
You told me no one lived here. You said that a bunch of times.
Cameron, it came up so few times on the forum, the posts I remember were really mundane. I honestly just forgot.
All right. Devon stares at the coyote, waiting. But he doesn't say anything.
Cameron, is there anything you want to tell me? If there is, I'm still hoping you'll be open like you said.
I know.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's not like I'm expecting you to just share everything out on your mind right now, but I'm here to listen if you want to talk.
It's just hard to explain. I guess the fact that there are real people still living here does make it a little scarier.
Does it have to do with those dreams you're having?
Dev watches Cameron closely. He does seem genuinely confused himself. Kind of, but they were weird. I don't think they really meant anything. Yeah, I'm just overreacting. I just really don't have the deliverance experience on top of the ghost, you know?
I gotcha. There's nothing wrong with being vigilant. My friend's in Southland, the one from the town even more haunted than Echo. He says something horrific happens between a backpacker and an out-and-back redneck every year or so.
How comforting.
Well, I was sort of joking earlier. If anyone tries anything, I will do what needs to be done to stop them.
Dev doesn't tell Cameron that in that moment he kind of does wish he'd gone through with getting a gun for protection. If those men are still around, the bears no doubt they have plenty of guns. I don't also think about that because it's not going to happen. Unless they're squatting in that room.
Not for long.
The bear's exaggerated bravado becomes genuinely cautious as he opens the door. The room is hotter than it is outside, as if it were magnifying and trapping the heat.
Okay, yeah, this is doable. Hey, Cam, all clear.
Oh, no murderous hillbillies in there? Oh, gross.
What were you expecting? We just need to straighten it out a bit. Look, there's even a mattress over there.
Wait, we're not going to use it for sleeping or anything, are we?
Why do you think I brought sheets?
Oh, I am not sleeping in...
Kid in. I already told you I have a room booked in Peyton.
Well, we better use it, no matter how into this you get.
Of course. We might as well make this place as comfortable as we can anyway.
Cameron is quiet, and Dev turns to see him staring at a plethora of rusty nails on the ground around the window and mattress. Your tetanus shot is up to date, right?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, great. Just don't puncture yourself on anything. I'll try to clean those up at least. Cameron watches Dev step back, brushing his paws against each other loudly.
Well, I'd say that's rather cosy, don't you think?
I've seen actual homes that look worse, so yeah, I'd say so. Cameron eyes the couch and slowly sits on the edge, not quite trusting it despite the sheet.
So, what do you know about paranormal investigation? You said you did research.
Turns out you just run around with a flashlight and call the ghost a bitch.
A good one.
Damn, sorry. Didn't know the reality ghost show hunts was such a sore spot for you.
Well, they single-handedly ruined the credibility of actual investigations.
Well, they brought in more attention, right? Anyway, all I really know is what you do. EVP stuff, taking pictures, just sitting around and waiting, stuff like that.
Well, that's a start.
Actually, I was thinking you deal with most of that stuff, so what I mainly researched had to do with those who were gifted. It's almost physically impossible for the coyote to use that word to describe people like him.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say earlier how happy I was you looked through that forum. It must be annoying just hearing me go on about it when I don't even experience it.
I know, you're fine, Dev. Actually, Cameron much preferred to hear it from Dev. Half the people on the forums were clearly liars with a saviour complex. And then the other half were contacting those assholes to help communicate with the dead loved one. Cameron couldn't stomach it and just ended up looking at a blog that seemed a bit more legit.
So, what did you find out?
The way the bear is lit up now that they're talking about investigating reminds Cameron that he needs to at least try. Well, according to these psychics, it's pretty simple if you have the extra sense. First, approach the location with clear intentions. I'm here to see or hear something from the past. Second, keep an open mind, which is something I promise to do. And finally, if you sense the presence is hostile, always remember that it can hurt you. In these cases, they might not actually be a person.
I wouldn't worry about demon shit. Even I have a hard time believing in that.
Hey, there's something we can agree on. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume something terrible happened in this room. Why else look for a specific room, right? I don't need you to tell me what happened, but I also assume this is a bit of a test.
Well, I don't want to call it a test. I'm going to be recording and looking for the thing that happened in this room too. Just thought you might want to see if you sense anything and compare it with what actually happened.
I think that's a good idea. I'm just going to do some light touch sensing, I think they call it. So I won't see anything, but just sense what might have happened.
But tell me if you feel things aren't right, of course.
I'll be fine.
All right, I'll get started. We won't go super late tonight. Just want to get a feel for things.
Sure, I'll get started by opening my mind and making my intentions clear.
Okay, babe. I love you.
Devon leans in and kisses Cameron on the head. Then Cameron watches as Dev turns off the lantern, plunging them to darkness. Lugging around equipment while trying to be quiet about it quickly gets Devon sweating through his shirt and he has to take it off. He's making the extra effort not to disturb the coyote, as Cameron seems to be really trying, his eyes closed and ears up. Dev didn't even need to ask him to take out his phone so he could record audio. He just did it, and to Devon that just proved how much Cameron wanted to do this. As Dev goes about testing his equipment, Cameron shifts and mumbles something. Dev perks up.
Hey, hon, I'm right here. You all right?
I need to get more comfortable. At the same time, he adjusts himself so his feet are on the suitcase in front of him.
Oh, okay.
Something about Cameron's demeanour is bothering Dev. Cameron's words were a little slurred. He does seem kind of not quite there. Should he pull him out of it? Devon had never seen a psychic in action before, so maybe this is normal, like a trance. He hopes it's normal, because even if Devon can find his answers, he'd give them up for Cameron to discover he isn't psychotic. As he's fiddling with his EMF sensor, dread suddenly clutches at his chest. What if the opposite happened and Cam really did lose his mind? Like when his mom got psychosis. If that happens, Devon is only now realising he'd be responsible. And how could Cameron forgive him for that? How would he forgive himself?
Oh, shit.
Dev hisses under his breath. What the fuck is he doing, bringing his boyfriend to this room where that happened? He was usually alone or with friends when doing these investigations. His want to see something always overpowered the fear. He just assumed Cam would be used to scary shit, especially after he described that flat-faced creature in the raincoat that he'd been seeing since he was a kid. He just assumed. Why was it only now that he was realising what the consequences could be? The feeling he'd had earlier about being a social dumbass comes back, but far stronger. This isn't something a loving partner does to another partner. He's fucking using Cameron for his own selfish reasons. Devon knows that Coyote has some kind of ESP abilities, but that didn't mean he can also have other issues that could fuck him up. That didn't mean that the possibility of seeing these awful things wouldn't cause him to develop more issues. Devon gets up and paces for a bit, beginning to make up his mind, deciding that right after this they're done no matter what. The bear looks at the closet, the one where a wolf from the Maseta tribal council hung himself in the early 90s. If only he could see one thing, just one sliver of proof that she's okay on the other side, he'd be at peace with all this. Dev lets out a shuddering sigh, standing in the closet, looking at that bar, wondering if it's the same one that the wolf used. Devon feels something. Not a good something. A chill runs up his spine and suddenly he's shivering. No way. It's actually happening. Holy shit, holy shit. It's all he can manage to say. It's happening, but it feels so wrong. And a fear that he's never known before takes over. He wants to turn around. He wants to call out to Cameron. But it's like something is around his neck, holding him in place. And then he hears a terrible sound behind him. Cameron knows something is happening for sure. It's scary, but at the same time it's making him question what he'd always believed. Had Devon been right about this stuff? Had he just misunderstood himself for so long? He could sense someone, nothing like the monsters he'd seen in the past. Instead, this was a man in a suit with a bolo tie. He was sad, he was angry, and he was terrified. Cameron knew this was often what psychics describe when talking about sensing people from the past. You feel their most intense moment in life. This man, this wolf, he's going to do something terrible. And while Cameron is marvelling over this, the wolf suddenly changes. At the same time, Cameron feels his focus turn to him. This gives the coyote pause, because now this presence was trying to interact with him. Was this right? Cameron thinks it could be, but something doesn't feel right about it. Like, this isn't what he thinks it is. He supposes anyone doing this the first time would feel it to be strange. Maybe he was doing the light sensing wrong. The point is to listen to the past, like a recording. This direct communication is scaring the coyote. This could be his chance to answer Dev's question, and his own question for that matter. I'm sorry to bother you. What's after death? Where do we go? It feels stupid and clumsy, but it's all that comes to his mind, so Cameron asks it over and over. There's a long, empty pause. And then something like a cackle. It almost sounds fake, like a Halloween toy, but it's a dark, mean, and it's making fun of him. All the feelings of wonder and hope for a breakthrough are deflated instantly. He needs Dev. He needs to open his eyes. Cameron's eyes are heavy. He can barely focus. Something's gone terribly wrong. This presence is evil, malicious. This isn't a person. Now all that the coyote can sense is that profound tragedy has just taken place. He needs Devon, and he thinks he sees him as his vision begins to slowly focus. At first, Cameron doesn't understand what he's seeing. How is Dev standing like that? Why isn't he moving? He realises why over the next few seconds. The unnatural way Dev's weight seems to pull up at his neck says it all. Cameron starts screaming, but it's weak, muffled, barely a wheeze from his throat, and he can't move. Paralysis. This isn't real. This is sleep paralysis. But something about this is so fucked, so real, and he couldn't have fallen asleep. He's almost positive about that. But even if he had, his boyfriend could actually be hanging himself while the coyote sits uselessly on the couch. Terror begins to engulf him. How could this happen? How could he do this? How? Cameron tries screaming again. Again, it's just a wheeze of breath. He stares at Devon's contact image, instead of Devon dead in the closet. They took that picture in college 5 years ago and just a month into their relationship. At the time it was a token to show his other gay friends, to prove he had a boyfriend, that he was a handsome bear. He'd never changed it, even though he had no one to show off to anymore. How the hell did they end up here? The phone picks up and switches to speaker automatically. Cameron knows deep down this must be a dream. But Devon is still hanging in the closet. He's overcome by the horror this could just be a partial dream, and that the worst part of it is real. It makes Cameron try and fail to scream again. You know what? No, like. Cameron stares at the phone, unable to understand through the static, able to recognise the voice. You said you wanted to know what like to die. I'd say it's like drowning forever. Conscious forever while you suffocate what made you happy when you were alive. And again, you don't believe in anything. So what you really want to know is what it's like to disappear. Because you're scared. You tell yourself that you want to die. You wish your mom didn't save your worthless life. That you deserve it. Now you tell yourself that if it weren't for me, you'd have ended things back in college. We both know that's a lie. You're a fucking coward. You'll stay alive as long as you can be with someone who can keep you alive. I could have treated you like absolute shit the past 5 years, and you'd still be around today. You fucking begged Dylan not to leave you. Just weeks after he punched you and gave you that scar. The one you said you got from falling against the cabinet. You're sick. Meanwhile, you let me put you in this situation. You said you wanted it. Do you still want it? No, please God, no! Cameron can't even move his lips. Anyway, I'm getting a little off topic, aren't I? You wanted to know what the afterlife is like. I'll give you an idea. Devon's voice becomes more muffled. Yo, Lupita, tell my boyfriend what it's like. It's quiet for a moment. Cameron just sits in stunned misery, just waiting. Terrible, demonic scream reaches through the phone, and Cameron's fur bristles all over his body, and he fights this prisoner he's in with everything he has. And finally breaks free. It takes Devon a moment to realise the terrible sound is coming from Cameron. He's never heard him make a sound like that before. At that moment, whatever it is that has a hold on the bed dissolves and Devon turns around, heaving for breath. When Dev looks at him, he sees Cameron's eyes are wide open. Oh, Cameron? Cameron makes that sound again. Devon has no idea what Cameron's seeing. He knows it's something terrible. Devon feels himself beginning to panic. Baby, please, what's happening? Cameron just stares back and Devon finally snaps. Cameron! Devon is stepping out of the closet when suddenly Cameron lunges off the couch, making a feral sound. The look in the coyote's eyes is so intensely unlike him that Devon draws back in fear. Honey, it's me. The Dev shot, Cameron's paws fly to the bear's neck, but instead of squeezing like he thinks they're going to, they rip at the thick fur there. Wait, stop. Devon manages to catch Cameron's paws in his own much larger paws, easily restraining the smaller male. Cameron continues to stare at Devon's neck, seeming to search intently. Then he looks up at Dev's face. I saw you dead. You called me and screamed at me. Though Devon doesn't understand, you can tell this wasn't one of Cameron's typical night terrors. The look on his face says it all. Fuck. I'm really, really sorry. I'm driving you to Peyton right now, or wherever the hell you want to go. As Devon tries to put him to the door, Cameron resists. Wait, just let me catch my breath, okay? Okay. Just take deep breaths, okay? Devon fumbles with the lantern until he turns it on. Then he stands next to Cameron for a few moments, listening to him sob. Can I at least hold you, please? Cameron leans towards him as an answer. While Dev strokes his head, Cameron starts to rub his back, like he knows that Dev had been terrified too. I'm fine. It was just a really intense vision. I'm so sorry. I've never seen you like that before. You scared the absolute shit out of me. Did you think I was attacking you? Huh? You were going after my neck, sort of. Oh, no, I
I saw you hanging in the closet. Cameron's breath hitches in his chest. Like, from your neck. Oh, shit. Yeah, it was so fucking real. They hold each other in silence for a while, Devon mulling over what Cameron just told him. Devon no longer has doubts that Cameron is psychic, but right now that doesn't matter. He just wants the coyote to feel safe again. Devon? Yeah, honey? I think you're right. What about? Something happened. I don't know if it's ghosts or whatever the hell else there could have been, but that wasn't just me. I've never felt or seen things like that before. There's more to this than me being crazy. There has to be. We can talk about this when we're in Payton, okay? Dev, I promise to be honest with you. And I need to tell you something now, otherwise I probably never will. What is it? Dev's heart starts to pound as he sees the look on Cameron's face. Lupita was in this vision, Dev. Please believe me when I say I don't think it was really her, but... What? Cameron hesitates. Cameron, please tell me. I'm really sorry, but I heard her and it was awful, and I don't know, it's just a terrible scream. It was horrible. The floor seems to fall out from under Devon, and he feels like he's falling into an abyss. To be continued. I didn't actually say anything there because I think we all need a break after that. Whew. Great work, Howley. I've been looking forward to this for quite a long time. This is so good. I have to mention the music, the backgrounds, the sprites, all everything coming together in this. It is just an amazing piece of work from everyone on the project. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. And I'm not going to say too much about it after that. I know the important person knows what I think about this because I have written all that down. So I hope you enjoyed that and you tune in next time for the next Arches episode. And I definitely have to mention a few people here. Tiger Cub, Mr. Beaver 11, Rusty Alvarado, Dissonance, Evan King, Grizz, Samuto, The Beholder, David Taylor, Popot, Nubis Silverwind, Brandon Bradford and Ida Corval, who are my top patrons, and I appreciate them and everyone who supports me. I've said it before, I really didn't expect to get any real support when I started that Patreon, and you're all amazing me by giving me this money to keep doing this stuff. Oh, by the way, this is going to be the last midweek video just for a few weeks. I've just had so many new things coming out, I wanted to get them done. So it's given me a good idea of how midweek videos will work. So I'm thinking 1 or 2 a month. We'll just drop them in here and there. So don't expect anything. It might happen, it might not. But we'll definitely keep going the weekend videos. And of course the next one is part 2 of When Shall We Three Meet Again, which is our Far Beyond the World update. So that will be on the weekends. And I don't know quite what's happening next month. But we will definitely be carrying on with Arches when we get new updates. This will be our regular series. Okay, I think I've calmed down enough after that. I think maybe I should borrow an old line from Crime Watch UK. Please, don't have nightmares. And thanks for watching. Good night.